Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks play their third game of the season already. Seems a little bit crazy to me that we're already at game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, the Knicks are 1-1 on the season. They lost to the Boston Celtics in a close game, and then they defeated last night the Atlanta Hawks. And let me adjust my camera just a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. They defeated the Atlanta Hawks last night in a game they almost blew down the stretch. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The first back-to-back game of the season versus the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans will have fresh legs. They haven't played in about 3 days. They played on the 25th. They have not played since. So this is going to be one of the first challenges for the New York Knicks this season. Because last night, playing against the Atlanta Hawks, both teams, ladies and gentlemen, were kind of huffing and puffing. You know what I mean? There was a certain point in that game where both teams were breathing very heavy. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if the Knicks will have heavy legs tonight. Are they going to be able to catch that second wind? You know what I'm saying? You know, so look, I think it's going to be, I still think this is a game that the New York Knicks can win. It's no doubt about that. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult. They're going to have to focus a little bit more. And your buddy there, my buddy there, Tom Thibodeau, may have to go deeper into his bench, deeper than he normally wants to do. You know, we'll see if Tom Thibodeau is, up to if he's up to it. You know, going a little bit deeper in that bench. I think it would be a smart thing to do. Given last night's track meet, so to speak, and even though the Knicks didn't score a lot of transition points, neither did Atlanta. The game in that second, maybe third quarter, whenever it was, just got kind of up and down, up and down, up and down. You know what I mean? You know, up and down, a lot of up and down, a lot of movement, a lot of running, fast paced. So I think they should go deeper in that bench. You know, at least Evan Fournier, as deep as Evan Fournier, at least. You know, we'll see how much Tom Thibodeau, that's Tibbs, though. You know what I mean? Tibbs is probably like, yeah, whatever. You know, you watch our coach. You know what I mean? You watch our coach. The Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, are coming into the game for the most part healthy. And so is the New Orleans New Orleans Pelicans, for the most part, they're healthy. Right? Jose Alvarado, he is one of the keys to their team, one of the key guys on their team. He's out tonight with a right ankle sprain. Najee Marshall is out with a right knee contusion. And Trey Murphy III is out with a left knee partial surgery, whatever that word is, meniscusectomy. I tried. But for the most part, their big dogs are there tonight. The big guys are there tonight. Zion Williamson, CJ McCullough, Brandon Ingram. We're going to look at the lineup shortly. All right, but those guys are there and ready to go. And I think my man Ron pointed it out last night. This might be the first time that R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson have shared a court together in the NBA, have played against each other in the NBA. So, that could be fun. I'm not going to say historical, but fun. Zion Williamson is looking like he's in shape. He, from everything that we've heard, he's dedicated himself to be getting in shape during the off season. Kind of for a little while he was distracted. And I think everybody knows why he was distracted. If you paid attention to Zion over over the summer, you know why he's distracted, or you know why he was distracted. You know, I won't even go there. Knicks are nice. Asked, is Randle playing? From what I understand, he's playing. Right? I don't see why he would not be playing. I know, people heard in the preseason, they heard his interview where he said, he's not playing back-to-backs. But I think those back-to-backs pertained to the preseason back-to-backs, not the regular season back-to-backs. I think a lot of people thought he said he wasn't playing back-to-backs during the regular season. No, he was asked because the Knicks played a back-to-back game in the preseason. And he was asked about playing back-to-backs in the preseason and what he thought about it. And, he just kind of laughed and was like, I won't be playing any back-to-backs in the preseason, not the regular season. I think Julius Randle wants to be out there. So I'm assuming that he's going to be out there. And if he's not out there, I don't think it's Julius Randle who said he didn't want to be out there. I think it would be the Knicks medical team that said, no back-to-backs for him. But I don't anticipate that. Karen Fung, you're right. Nobody from the Knicks is on the injury report, the 5:30 injury report. Nobody on the Knicks is there. So I'm assuming that Julius Randle is playing. Dwayne Dennis, you're right. IG models, more than just IG models. Zion was in trouble with more than just IG models over the summer. You know what I mean? But we're not going to go there. Hopefully, he's past that. He's got his head on straight. You know what I'm saying? He did the smart thing by not responding to anything that Miss Mills was putting out there. And I'm not saying whether it's true or not true. I'm not even getting into it. I don't know. I don't even care. Right? He did the smart thing by not saying anything. But it does make you wonder, like, well, maybe now we know why the guy couldn't stay healthy. Whatever. He's back on the court now. He looked decent in the first game of the season, right, against the Memphis Grizzlies. The Pelicans won that game against the Memphis Grizzlies, and they shot the ball well. All right, we're going to get into that in just a second. Let's take a look at the lineups. All right, we'll take a look at the starting lineups. We'll take a look at the bench, break that down a little bit, talk about some matchups, and then we'll start to look at some numbers. But just remember, the numbers from the Pelicans are just one basketball game. Well, the Knicks have at least two. It's just one basketball game, so it's hard to know if those numbers are real. All right, so let's take a look at the lineups, ladies and gentlemen. For the New York Knicks at point guard, you got Jalen Brunson. For the Pelicans, you got C.J. McCollum. I guess he's maybe sort of like Jalen Brunson, not really that point guard, but a guy that can handle the ball, can make some decisions, and obviously can score. Jalen Brunson, I think, has a little bit more of a point guard mentality than C.J. McCollum. But obviously, C.J. can get the job done because he's a very talented guard. At the shooting guard spot, you got Quentin Grimes for the New York Knicks, Herbert Jones for the Pelicans. These guys are very similar in who they are and what they do. Right? Herbert Jones, a defender. Quentin Grimes, a defender. Herbert Jones, both guys can shoot the three. I think Quentin Grimes probably shoots it better, shoots it more naturally than Herbert Jones. But I'm not going to, Herbert Jones is a guy that can hoop. And he can definitely defend. And I would expect that Herbert Jones is going to be defending Jalen Brunson. But we'll get into those matchups, all right? At the small forward spot, you got R.J. Barrett and Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram, ladies and gentlemen, he's a guy he is a guy that I used to really, really want on the Knicks. But after what happened with Team USA, I have some questions about Brandon Ingram. I'm not even going to lie about it. I got some questions. Because he was kind of, at least from what I read, maybe a little bit disgruntled about his role. Wasn't used to not being able to get the ball, shoot the ball. Wasn't sure where to fit in. It told me that he didn't know how to play without consistently always having the basketball in his hands. So it definitely gave me second thoughts about, how I feel about Brandon Ingram and the possibility of him being a New York Knick. Don't get me wrong. I'd probably still take him on his basketball team, but I would definitely have some concerns. Then at the power forward spots, ladies and gentlemen, you got Julius Randle and Zion Williamson. Always an intriguing matchup for me. Always an intriguing matchup. Similar, not similar in style of play, but similar in size. You know what I mean? And Zion being a smaller power forward, Randle kind of being a smaller power forward. Zion much more athletic than Julius Randle. Julius Randle a little bit older, maybe a little bit smarter than Zion Williamson at this point in time. A little bit more seasoned, let me say that. But we all know that Zion Williamson is an amazing talent if he can keep his head into basketball instead of other things. Right? Instead of other things. Then you got the center spot, Mitchell Robinson and Jonas Valanciunas. Valanciunas is one of those guys that makes me a little bit nervous when Mitchell Robinson has to guard him, right? He can post up. He can take you up and shoot the ball from the three-point line. He can obviously rebound the basketball. He's a skilled center. The type of guy that can get Mitchell Robinson in foul trouble. The type of guy that he's not going to put the ball on the floor from the three-point line, but he'll shoot it from the three-point line, which means Mitch has to close out on him. So on and so forth. We just witnessed this when the Knicks played the Boston Celtics. He's not as good as KP, not as talented as KP. But listen, in their first game, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 2 for 4 from the three-point line, 4 for 7 from the field. He's a tough guy to deal with. Tough guy to deal with, ladies and gentlemen. So, I do have some concerns about that matchup. Have some concerns about that matchup. Let's take a look at the benches. Then we'll talk about matchups. And you can see right off the bat, I made a mistake. Emmanuel quickly does not play for the New Orleans Pelicans. There's not been a trade, so please don't think that. Hopefully I didn't jinx anything either by having Emmanuel quickly up there. And I'm going to change that really quick because I'm not trying to jinx it and have Emmanuel quickly all of a sudden get traded to these guys over here, the New Orleans Pelicans, you know what I mean? Or end up signing with the Pelicans or something like that. So I need to hurry up and get that off the screen quickly before the jinx police comes and, throws a hex on it, whatever you want to call it. Because that should be Kira Lewis Jr. Right? That should be Kira Lewis Jr. So I'm going to go ahead and get his name up there in just a second. But you got Kira Lewis Jr., not Emmanuel Quickly, Jordan Hawkins, Dyson Daniels, Larry Nance Jr., and you also got Matt Ryan, who will be should play some minutes off the bench. I think he played about 13 minutes off the bench against the Memphis Grizzlies. All right, so their bench. I don't know. I'm not impressed, particularly impressed with their bench. I'm not afraid of their bench. I think the Knicks bench is there you go, covered it up. Kira Lewis Jr., ladies and gentlemen. I think their bench is eh. That's really all I can say. I think it's eh. I think the Knicks bench should dominate their bench. Now, just looking at the previous game, for the most part, their entire bench doesn't play together. You know, the Knicks, at some point during the game, the Knicks bench plays quickly. DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein, and R.J. Barrett. They play together. For the Pelicans, they really did stagger their players. You know, they continuously had two starters on the floor, at least against the Memphis Grizzlies. And I would expect, because their bench is so weak to me, I would expect that they're going to do the same thing. Right? So they're always going to have some top-notch talent, I think, on the floor. It's never going to be bench versus bench. At least I don't think it's going to be. I could be surprised, but I don't think so. Right? Because if it were bench versus bench, the Knicks bench would dominate, in my opinion, because I think they're that much more talented than this New Orleans bench. I think this is a pretty weak bench. ain't no two ways to put it. I think it's a weak bench. And the Knicks bench would dominate it. So guys like Emmanuel Quickley, DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, they're going to be playing against their starters. Some of their starters. A few of their starters, right? You'll have two of them in at a time. You know, C.J. McCollum and Brandon Ingram will be in at some point in time with the bench together. I think Zion and Valanciunas might be in at some point in time with the bench together. Right? So our bench is going to have to deal with some of their starters. And, you know, this is one of the reasons that Tom Thibodeau, you know, with some of the guys that he has, Tom Thibodeau really does believe that the Knicks have starters on the bench. And Emmanuel Quickley, obviously R.J. Barrett will help play some on the bench. He believes Josh Hart is a starter. And even Isaiah Hartenstein, I think he believes, could be a starter in this league. DiVincenzo, he has been a starter in this league. All right, so I think the Knicks bench is miles ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans bench. The problem is, you know, they only play, you know, they really do stagger the lineups, right? I see, you know, so, you know, there it is. They stagger their lineup. So our bench guys have got to be ready to deal with starters, which I don't think we're going to have a problem doing. All right, so now let's look at some matchups and talk about some matchups, because there's some interesting matchups, I think. Right? The first matchup that people are going to probably key in on is Zion Williamson and Julius Randle. I think that's the first matchup that people are going to look at and say, yeah, that's a big one. And it is. That might be the key matchup of the night, right? But also, you know, well, C.J. McCollum and Jalen Brunson are probably not going to match up per se, right? They're probably not going to match up per se. Right? I think that Herbert Jones is going to defend Jalen Brunson. Quentin Grimes will probably defend C.J. McCollum. So let's talk about those matchups right there. Right, we'll talk about Quentin Grimes and C.J. McCollum. C.J. McCollum, you know, a smaller guard, you know, not too small, but a smaller guard. He's 6'3". Quentin Grimes, 6'5". You know, McCollum is a crafty guard, smart, understands how to get to his spots. Quentin Grimes is going to have he's got his work cut out for him. Every night, Quentin Grimes is going to have his work cut out for him. But I think he's ready, and I think he's built for it. My question, we know he's going to bring it on the defensive side. My question is always, can he do it on the offensive side and the defensive side? You know, the other night, he did it on the offensive side. He knocked down some big shots. He knocked down the shots that he needed to hit. But tonight, again, C.J. McCollum. C.J. McCollum, against the Memphis Grizzlies, 24 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 8 for 16 from the field, 6 for 11 from the three-point line. And then Herbert Jones, he'll probably defend Jalen Brunson. All right, a longer guard, 6'7", a longer guard on Jalen Brunson. That could prove to be troublesome because he's a good defender. Right? That could prove to be a little bit troublesome. Okay? Herbert Jones, he had 13 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists versus Memphis, 4 for 8 from the field, 3 for 6 from the three-point line. So, in turn, whoever is guarding Herbert Jones, they've got to be ready, and that'll probably be Jalen Brunson. Even though Herbert Jones is 6'7", he might be guarding Herbert Jones at least, in the beginning stages of the game. Maybe he switches to C.J. McCollum later. If Herbert Jones is taking advantage of him because of the height difference, but C.J. McCollum is obviously going to be able to, he can score the basketball too. Right? So I don't see that Jalen Brunson would be guarding C.J. McCollum at all. Right? You would much rather it be Herbert Jones that he's guarding, a much less lethal player. And then R.J. Barrett is going to match up with Brandon Ingram. I think that's going to be a straightforward matchup. R.J. Barrett and Brandon Ingram. Straightforward matchup. Brandon Ingram in his previous game, 19.6 assists, 7 rebounds, 38.9% from the field, 0 for 3 from the three-point line. And we all know what RJ's been doing so far. Averaging like 25 points per game so far for R.J. Barrett. He's shooting it from the three-point line. He's playing good from the field. He's making quick decisions on the floor. He's playing a good floor game. So this is going to be a pretty good test for R.J. Barrett, in my opinion. And then you got Julius Randle and Zion Williamson matching up. That's going to be the matchup. Right? 23 points, 3 assists, 7 rebounds for Zion Williamson in their first game, 9 for 17 from the field. He did not attempt a three, 71.4% from the free throw line. He was, if you believe in the plus minus stuff, he was a -8, the highest on their team. I don't know if how much you feel about it or believe in it. Right, but Julius Randle's going to have his work cut out for him. There's no doubt about that. That's about Zion Williamson. Quick, he can go off the dribble a little bit. He's obviously athletic. He seems to be in shape. And the matchup is always intriguing because Julius Randle left New Orleans because Zion Williamson was headed to New Orleans. And then he came to the Knicks, the spot where many people thought Zion Williamson was going to land. How ironic is that? Right? So that's an intriguing matchup. I think Julius Randle. Listen, Zion Williamson is going to get his numbers. I'm going to say that these two guys, play it even. They play it even, in my opinion. I don't know who wins the matchup. Hopefully, Julius Randle is motivated. He hasn't been shooting the ball well. We need Julius Randle to. We need him to shoot. We need him to start making some shots. Just to, appease some people. I think a lot of people are happy with the way he's played. Besides not making shots, he's done everything else. Almost a triple-double last night. Finally, later in the game, he started to hit a couple of shots. We had some questions. We talked about maybe the fire and desire that he has coming into the season. And maybe maybe there's a new Julius Randle in town as far as his emotions are concerned. I think he's really trying to make an effort to control his emotions, and maybe this is part of his growth process. How do I control my emotions but let my emotions shine when it's necessary? That may be something that we look at and deal with Julius Randle throughout this season. Then we talked about the Mitchell Robinson and Jonas Valanciunas matchups. Right? So really the only switching and defending is going to be Jalen Brunson probably guarding Herbert Jones and Jones guarding Jalen Brunson and C.J. McCollum guarding Quentin Grimes and Grimes guarding C.J. McCollum. I think that'll be the matchup switches there. On the bench now, there's going to be times when C.J. McCollum is out there on the bench, playing with the bench. Right? Brandon Ingram playing with the bench. How do those matchups look? If C.J. McCollum is out there playing with his bench unit, I would expect that Emmanuel Quickley will be guarding C.J. McCollum. Right? That would only make sense to me. All right, because he's very, very good defender, Emmanuel Quickley. Maybe Dante DiVincenzo. I could see Dante DiVincenzo guarding C.J. McCollum some as well. But you got a quick Kira Lewis Jr. that might be out there on the floor. A Jordan Hawkins. The lineups are going to be staggered. So it's going to be interesting to see who guards who when those lineups, when the New Orleans Pelicans mixes the bench with the starters. That'll be very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Remember, the bench units, just remembering them really quick. All right, quickly, DiVincenzo, Barrett, Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein. For the New Orleans Pelicans, Kira Lewis Jr., Jordan Hawkins, Dyson Daniel, Larry Nance Jr., Matt Ryan. Larry Nance Jr. could play center. Matt Ryan, those two guys could maybe switch on and off from the center, power forward positions and who they guard, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Matt Ryan, I think, is a forward. I had to throw him in there at the last minute. But, sometimes Kira Lewis will be out. C.J. McCollum will be out there. Dyson Daniels, maybe he's at shooting guard. And Brandon Ingram's out there on the floor at small forward. And so those matchups, I think, that's something we need to look forward to and pay attention to. Overall, I think the Knicks are should be just a better team than the New Orleans Pelicans. The thing that I think gives the Knicks the most trouble tonight is the fact that they're coming off of a back-to-back. That's what I think gives them the most trouble. But, we'll see. We're going to talk about keys to the game, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get there, let me remind you, please support the channel. You know what I'm saying? My Cash App is right there. $ Nothing But Knicks. You can hit me on PayPal, paypal.me/Nothing But Knicks. Right? Support the channel. The channel is not monetized. No ads, no YouTube ads on the channel. Not really by design, but because they demonetized it for specific reasons. So if you can support the channel, we'd really appreciate it. If you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, to have your ad somewhere up here on the screen, to sponsor one of the topics, you know what I mean? To sponsor, if you own a car company, you can have such and such as keys to the game. You dig what I'm saying? Things like that. We got some creative things that we can work with you to help promote your brand. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to put my email in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, and, hit me up. Let me know if you have some sponsorship ideas and opportunities. All right. srussell@nothingbutknicks.com. That's my email, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's get to some keys to the game. And I'm going to throw this in the chat right now so that you can, email me yourself or get it to your friends or, whoever it is. We'd love to hear from you. The first key to the game, in my opinion, because they do have some shooters out there, ladies and gentlemen, to run them off the three-point line. Okay, let's run these guys off the three-point line. They shot 40, let me make sure I got this right, almost 43% in their first game. No, they did shoot 40. They almost shot 44% in their first game. Now, it's the first game of the season. So it's hard to know if this is really the New Orleans Pelicans or not. But you know what? The New York Knicks are also shooting a high percentage from the three-point line, and we're not sure if this is truly the New York Knicks. But you're not going to chance it, right? You're not going to chance it. You got to run these guys off the line. Make them do something else. Make them play a mid-range game, right? Don't let them get super loose from that three-point line. Because me, personally, right now, I'm confident in the Knicks and what they can do. They're shooting the three-point, they're shooting it from three very well so far this season. I need to see it consistently. I don't expect that the Knicks are going to shoot 44.7% from the three-point line throughout the entire season. Right? The number is obviously skewed because they've only played 2 games, but they shot very well from the three-point line in those 2 games. The Pelicans as well. So we got to run them off the line. Don't let them get hot from that three-point line. And if they do get hot from that three-point line, we better stay hot. Now, it's not like they're shooting a ton of threes. They shot 32 threes. Okay, the Knicks have been shooting high 30s, low 40s three-point attempts. C.J. McCollum shot 11 threes against the Memphis Grizzlies. I would expect that he's going to shoot 11 threes or more versus the Knicks tonight. So Quentin Grimes got to be on his game. Got to be on his game. Brandon Ingram, three-point attempts. Zion didn't attempt one. Okay. I know he's not afraid to shoot him, but we'll see pay attention to that. See if he's just strictly, I'm going to the basket, playing in the mid-range. That could benefit Julius Randle a little bit. He doesn't have to worry about him from the three-point line if that's the case, but we know what Zion Williamson can do in the paint too. Valanciunas was the second most on the team with 4 attempts. Herbert Jones, 3 attempts. I'm sorry, Matt Ryan had 6 attempts. He was 3 for 6 from the three-point line. So, we've got to pay attention to a couple of guys. I don't think they're going to shoot a ton of them. They're probably going to play in the mid-range, try to get to the basket. But let's not test it. Let's run them off the three-point line. Let's be safe. Okay, let's be safe. And, it's easier said than done with the New York Knicks, though. Offensive and defensive rebounds, ladies and gentlemen, this team in their first game grabbed 52 rebounds. The Knicks, I don't believe, have cracked 50 rebounds yet this season. Despite the fact that you got a Mitchell Robinson and a Julius Randle and a Isaiah Hartenstein, these guys can rebound the ball, Josh Hart, but the Knicks have shot the ball. Well, the first game they only shot 37% from the field. They shot high number from the three-point line, but that game was a real defensive battle versus Boston. So I think there were less shot attempts. I would expect there's going to be more shot attempts tonight. So the Knicks got to be ready to rebound. We need Mitch to be on the offensive glass if it's necessary. Randle to be on the defensive and offensive glass. Randle, 12 rebounds versus the Atlanta Hawks last night. I think he's averaging probably 11 per game over the first 2 games. But the Knicks got to be on those boards, in my opinion. Finish the defense with a rebound. All right, don't let these guys get out and run. They do have some athletes on that team. All right, got to rebound the basketball. Capitalize on turnovers. The Pelicans, in their first game, and of course, like I keep saying, we don't know if this is them or not, but they had 21 turnovers. Over 2 games, the Knicks are averaging 12.5, and I would expect it's going to stay around this number for the Knicks. They're going to be a low turnover team. That's the style of play that Tom Thibodeau has implemented. One of the reasons the Knicks probably play a slower pace. Tom Thibodeau is not, he don't like to turn the ball over. You know what I mean? Which, a slower pace sometimes helps you maintain the basketball and not turn the ball over. All right, but capitalize on turnovers, ladies and gentlemen. If they turn the ball over, let's get out, let's run. We ran the fast break well in preseason. Let's do it again. Right, capitalize on those turnovers. Expand the rotation, even if it's just for tonight. Even if it's just for tonight, expand the rotation because the Knicks played last night. They may have heavy legs. Right? They may have heavy legs. So expand the rotation just a little bit. Maybe use Jericho Sims a little bit. Use Evan Fournier a little bit. It may prove to be a difference maker in this basketball game. And then fourth quarter execution, we seen down the stretch of the game last night that the Knicks had some crucial turnovers. Crucial turnovers last night. Jalen Brunson, crucial turnover. Quentin Grimes, crucial turnover. Then a foul afterwards. Julius Randle, crucial turnover. Right? You don't want to have those turnovers, ladies and gentlemen. Fourth quarter execution, get the job done. Now, they executed in some ways. Also, Atlanta didn't execute either. Right? Julius Randle came up with a couple of big plays, big rebounds, made some free throws in the fourth quarter, so on and so forth. All right, but they've got to execute in that fourth quarter and pull out a win. I believe the Knicks are going to win tonight. It's not going to be easy. I think it's going to be a struggle. I think we're going to see them look a little bit tired, but I think this is a challenge for them as well. Can they feel tired? Can they look tired and pull out a victory? I think that's a challenge for this basketball team, and I think they're up for the task. You know, the one thing about this team is they've been together for a little while, and they understand each other a little bit. They know, these guys know when Julius Randle is tired and what they've got to do if and when he's tired. That's, Tom Thibodeau knows. They know if Mitch is tired. They know if RJ's tired. Quickly, whoever. And they know what to do in the event that it happens. So the continuity means something. I think, you know, they've been, this group has been to battle a little bit. Jalen Brunson obviously, you know, just got here last year. Josh Hart just last year. Dante DiVincenzo just got here. But the majority of this group has been, they've been through some things together. And they're going to go through some more this year. This is the first challenge, I think. I think they'll get past it, though. I think they win tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout out to J Tap. Thank you for hitting me on Cash App, and I'm going to work to find a way for these things to come up on the screen to thank you almost immediately. But I appreciate it. And then my man Kashif, I really appreciate you, Kashif. You've been hooking me up, you know, the past couple of days. I really, really do appreciate you, and I'm going to remember this. Trust me. I'm going to remember this, and I'll be reaching out to you, Kashif. Thank you. I appreciate it. He said, I'm telling you, look into Locals app. I'm going to check it out. I appreciate the resource and the feedback. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get up out of here. I will see you 10 o'clock for the post-game show. All right? And, yeah, we're going to looking forward to a good, dope game tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out of here. Be peaceful. And, yeah, go ahead and hit that Cash App if you can. If not, just enjoy the show. I'm out. Peace.